right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and we'll get the evening formally underway. If I could have your attention, please. My name is Bill Whitelaw. I'm the president of the June Warren Nichols Energy Group, publishers of Oil Week magazine, and it's my pleasure to invite you to the 5th annual Rising Stars Gala event. This has been an Oil Week tradition, as I said, for the last 5 years, and it's always a highlight for us of our June schedule. And the event is a real opportunity for us to recognize the people, the up-and-coming generation of leaders who will get to define where this industry is going in the near term, the midterm, and the long term. I have the pleasure in another part of my life of being the chairman of the Canadian Petroleum Hall of Fame, and I get to work with lots of giants of industry on that board and through the annual induction process. And I look at this year's slate of candidates and the inductees from prior years, and I can easily see their names once they hit that magic 55 mark that allows you to be inducted into the Hall of Fame every year. I can see a whole generation of ready-made inductees, and that's kind of a cool thing. So right from the get-go of this program, we've had a very visionary partner in this process, and it's a name you know well in the advisory space, KPMG. They've had a great vision, and they see a great alignment with their business goals and objectives along with the Rising Stars process. And tonight you're going to get to hear from a leader in his own right. Mike McCarricker is the KPMG National Energy Leader. He sits on the National Markets Committee. If that's not enough for one guy to do, he's also a chief audit partner. And he's, for all the junior and the intermediate and the emerging oil and gas companies who have benefited from his guidance and leadership and experience over the last several years on a wide range of services that KPMG offers, they would also mark him as a true leader. So Mike is going to come to the podium. He's going to speak about KPMG for a few minutes. Then he's going to tell you about our host and guide to the evening, Todd Hirsch, who will help you take through our Rising Stars, and Todd is a Rising Star himself from past classes. Mike?
Well, thanks, Bill. Congratulations on picking the first sunny day in it feels like about 2 months of solid rain. So those patio events, you should have had one about 3 weeks ago. So as Bill said, my name's Michael McCarricker, and I'm the National Energy Leader, and I must say I'm very happy and proud to be here tonight. One of my cool parts of being as my role as the Energy Leader is that I get to attend many of these kind of sponsorships and events throughout Canada, some in the States and actually some in Europe. So, and when it comes to attending all of these events, you really get to appreciate what the events are actually about and what they truly stand for. And I honestly believe the pillars of this Rising Star program, being personal achievement and career leadership in the industry, and community involvement, are not only what makes this program special, but it also makes the energy industry so unique in this city. And this is exactly why we continue to invest in this program. It's clearly aligned with our values at KPMG and our beliefs, and the most important attribute of the energy industry is our people. On behalf of the partners and the professional staff of KPMG, I'd like to applaud your achievements, your motivations, and your dedication to your communities. For these characteristics have helped you realize and exceed your goals, both personally and professionally. As the sponsor of these awards, we're fortunate enough to be involved in the selection process. And as you can see, this year's class exemplifies a strong focus on family, friends, employees, and their communities. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. In the energy industry, companies come and go almost every day, but it's the people, and more accurately you, the Rising Stars, that remain constant to create and improve these companies for now and into the future. Congratulations again on your award. As we move on into the award ceremony, I'd like to call to our stage our guest MC, a Rising Star alumni and the 2000 valedictorian of the Rising Stars, Todd Hirsch. Todd is a person that most of you are familiar with. He received his MA in economics at the University of Calgary and currently serves as a senior economist at the ATB Financial. His economic commentary regularly appears in CBC Radio, BNN, the Globe and Mail, and many other news programs. Please welcome Todd Hirsch.
Well, good evening. This is indeed my honor to be asked to be the MC for this evening. When they approached me and invited me to come, I was very excited about the prospect of coming back because I was a part of last year's graduating class of the Rising Stars. And just so the Rising Stars know what's ahead of them, after you are no longer a Rising Star, this is what you have to do. You have to put on reading glasses. I was fortunate enough to get in just under the wire last year. One of the requirements is that you be under the age of 45. And last year at this time was a week before my 45th birthday. So I was just at the cutoff. So I was very happy about that. Just a little bit of the history about the Rising Stars. This is, as was mentioned, this is the 5th consecutive year for the Rising Star Awards. And it's really nice to see, actually, that each year the award seems to be building some momentum, and there's a little bit of more and more buzz around the award. So I'd like to congratulate the organizers for the work that they've done about it, or that they've done on it, KPMG and June Warren-Nichols. Some of the selection committee, John Wayand and Kevin Morieri from KPMG, and Dale Lunan and Chaz Osborne from June Warren-Nichols. The way they select these candidates is not only for their contributions professionally, although obviously that is a big piece of it, but also for their contributions to making their communities wonderful places to be. And that's one of the most, I think, compelling things that we can say here in Western Canada, in the energy industry particularly, is that spirit of volunteerism, that spirit of giving back. We are not all about just making money. We want to make our communities great places to live, and that's exemplified by the Rising Stars and the class of 2012. What I'm going to do now is call back up Mike and Dale Lunan from June Warren-Nichols. They are going to be handing out the awards, so I'll call them up to the stage now. And I know I'm the only thing standing between you and more host bar and host food, so we won't prolong this, but we do want to get into the awards right away. And we've got all the award recipients, the Rising Stars, are ready to go? All right, our first, and as I start with your bio, I'll call you up and ask that you receive your award. Our first Rising Star this evening is Laureen Bryant. Laureen is an anthropologist with Golder Associates, was helping Shell Canada inventory archaeological artifacts unearthed as part of its Athabasca oil sands project north of Fort McMurray when she came to our attention. As project manager for Shell's Shark Bite projects, she supervised a field crew of up to 25 archaeologists, and it was that experience that led her to her new role in Golder's Oil Sands Group, part of the company's project management division. Laureen has been fascinated by the growth of civilization all her life, and she's passed this enthusiasm on to those she works with and to Shell's employees and children at that company's annual Family Day. When not digging up dirt for arrowheads and spear tips, you can usually find Laureen serving dinner down at the drop-in center and organizing winter clothing drives for the homeless. Community activities she hopes to expand on now that she's not spending her summers digging in the dirt at Fort McMurray. Congratulations, Laureen. Next, we have Sean Davis, Manager of Communications and Public Affairs for Pembina Pipeline Corporation. To say Shauna's job is challenging these days is something of an understatement, what with the high-profile pipeline leaks the industry has had to deal with over the last few months that put the media spotlight on all pipeline players. A graduate of the University of Calgary in 1996 and accredited as a public relations professional in 2000, Sean has been helping companies plan and execute a variety of communication and stakeholder engagement plans for more than a decade, and she's got most of it down to a science. So much so that she's a board member of the Canadian Public Relations Society, a public relations instructor at Mount Royal University, and a member of the advisory committee for that institution's continuing education department. The rest, gauging and responding to a wide spectrum of stakeholder needs and concerns, she has turned into an art form, and she lends these and other special talents to a variety of community organizations, ranging from the YMCA to the United Way and the Canadian Cancer Society. Congratulations, Sean. Our third recipient, Heather Friesen. Heather is the manager of engineering for junior producer Bonterra Energy, where she's often called on to fill a few roles as well, both within Bonterra and for some of its various partners. As with most tasks, Heather meets these challenges head-on, just like she did her first day on the job as a student employee for Pan-Canadian Petroleum a few years ago. She kept returning every summer to work for Pan-Canadian, and when she graduated with an engineering degree, the company hired her full-time, where she worked for 4 years and spent time in Halifax as an offshore drilling engineer. Heather will be meeting another challenge head-on this fall as she embarks on a 9-day cross-continent cycling relay to Lewiston, Maine, as part of a Can Survive Peloton Project 2012. But it's not her first relay. In 2009, she was part of the Can Survive Peloton to San Jose. 2 years ago, she made arguably the toughest trek yet to Austin, Texas. And last year, she raised $10,000 for Can Survive by riding in the 2011 Can Survive Challenge, also to Austin. Congratulations, Heather. Now, just in case you're thinking this is ladies' night in the Rising Stars, we do have, believe it or not, we do actually have the first male Rising Star, Chad Lear. Is it? Chad Lear. An interesting note in this, Chad Lear, manager of sales and marketing for Calfrac Well Services Canadian Division. At 33, Chad is the youngest of this year's class of Rising Stars, so he won't need these for a few years, yeah. But Chad is the youngest, and he's considered one of Calfrac's top guns, managing a division that generated $1 billion in sales in some of the most exciting oil and gas basins in the world. Like many oil patch icons, Chad came to Alberta-based industry from Saskatchewan, after graduating from the University of Saskatchewan in 2000 with a degree in geological engineering. But his training didn't end when he left the den of the Huskies. In 2011, a 2011 graduate of the Harvard Business School's Program for Leadership Development, Chad has acquired a keen understanding of the broad set of challenges facing the oil and gas industry, from the explosive growth of technology tapping today's resource plays, to the labor issues facing the industry today and tomorrow. But Chad hasn't lost sight of the important things in life, most importantly, that there is life outside the office. He worked evenings and weekends for a time as an assistant coach with the Calgary Dinos women's volleyball team, and recently established, with the help of his wife, an endowment fund to help student athletes meet their financial obligations. Chad is also active with the Alberta Children's Hospital and the STARS Foundation. Congratulations, Chad. Martin Pelletier. There he is. Martin is the Managing Director and Portfolio Manager for Trivest Wealth Council, an all-around Twitter guru. He's the financial whiz kid of this year's class of Rising Stars. When other teens in Marty's small hometown in northern Alberta were shooting pucks at garage doors or hanging around the bowling alley, Marty was following stock markets and thinking about mutual funds, initial public offerings, and capital markets. A strong academic bent lured Marty to private school in the big city. and to study commerce at the University of Alberta. By the time he was 19, he had completed the Canadian Securities course. Makes me feel lazy even thinking about boy. By 2007, Marty had built his career as a research analyst at 2 different firms. His skills and knowledge of the market had deepened, and work had taken control of his life. But by early 2008, he had had enough of long hours, the endless travel, and the missed family dinners. He took a few months off, just before global markets tanked in July, and spent the time traveling with his family and doing a little consulting on the side. The following year, Marty returned in style by launching Trivest with a longtime friend and client. Now 37, he blogs regularly for the Financial Post's Investing Pro section and is active within his church, with Compassion Canada, and various cancer research organizations. Congratulations, Marty. Debra Ross. Where is Debra? Debra is our next rising star, but she can only be here for a brief time this evening. As soon as she finishes here, Debra is whisked off to another gala at the Met Center, where she'll be recognized as Leader of Tomorrow, but today. She'll also understand consideration for Ernst & Young's prestigious Entrepreneur of the Year award. In between all the acceptance speeches, however, Debra stays busy running Gamma Tech Inspection Limited, which she founded a decade ago after learning to fly. She dreamed of being the next Amelia Earhart since she was 6. And fix planes. Not only does she fly them, she fixes them. While enrolled in aircraft maintenance at SAIT, she'd taken a few courses in metallurgy and non-destructive testing, so she began poking around that field after graduating from SAIT in 1996. She landed a job, impressed her bosses, and 6 years in, decided to strike out on her own. She quickly found that she'd bit off a bit more than she could chew. And were it not for a favorable audit and a half share in a bingo win, Gamma Tech might not be here, and Debra might not be fulfilling another dream, interviewing other successful women and sharing their stories as part of a broader mentoring initiative aimed at helping other budding entrepreneurs, especially women, find success and fulfillment. Debra is also actively supports the Kids Cancer Foundation and the STARS Foundation in Alberta. Congratulations, Debra. Marius Simon is our next rising star. We can arguably say he took the longest route to be with us here this evening, all the way from Romania. A graduate of the Oil and Gas University in Ploiesti, Romania, Marius worked for a time as a workover engineer in his native country, which at the time was emerging from the shadows of communism, with all the technology barriers that entailed. Geology was new to him and he enjoyed the work, but he couldn't get away from the feeling that if he stayed stuck in a system that was 4 decades behind the rest of the world. So in 2002, Marius, his wife, and their small son immigrated to Canada, where Marius landed his first job delivering pizza. Thankfully, that only lasted a few months, and by the first winter here, he was working for a small geological consulting firm. Soon after, he moved to Chinook Consulting Services, where he's now the Vice President of Operations and Development, overseeing the operations of a company that has grown dramatically since his arrival. Now, one of the 4 largest geological consulting companies in Western Canada, Chinook was among the first to drill in the Horn Basin, the Montney, and the Alberta Bakken, helping its client Encana open those major oil and gas fields. Grateful for his new life in Canada, Marius and his family actively support a variety of organizations, including the Calgary Chamber of Volunteer Organizations, UNICEF, and Prostate Cancer Canada. Congratulations, Marius. Our next rising star didn't come all the way from Romania, but he did make the 3-hour roadie from Sherwood Park, and that is Terry Stevenson. Terry Stevenson is the president of Blackjack Investments, and you can almost say his selection to this year's class of Rising Stars closes a circle he opened after graduating by taking his first job, an articling position with our sponsor, KPMG, where he quickly rose in the ranks to manager. One of his clients at the time was Flint Energy Service, and it was Terry they turned to when they needed a director of finance. Terry took that job and quickly set Flint on a growth path that included 29 accusations in just 4 years. That whetted Terry's appetite to run his own show, and after 5 years with Flint, he struck out on his own and bought 2 small companies, a total of 10 employees and revenues of just over $2 million. In the years since, Blackjack's holdings have grown dramatically, and its portfolio of companies now employ more than 650 people and generate annual revenues of nearly $100 million. In the community, Terry actively supports the Stollery Children's Hospital in Sherwood Park's neighboring city, I think it's called Edmonton, the Canadian Cancer Institute, and Little Warriors Foundation. Congratulations, Terry. And our final Rising Star for 2012 is Tatiana Wagner-Rygrock. Tatiana began her career in document control. Isn't that just a fancy name for a mail runner? We're not sure. Document control at Fluor, and is now, just 14 years later, Director of Business Development for Worley Parsons Canada Services. In her current role, Tatiana rides herd over a stable of engineers who all think their ideas are the best and aren't afraid to let you know it, in no uncertain terms. Is that true? Yeah. Yes, it's true. Well, you'd never know it from the outside. Tatiana has a pretty thick skin, a product of an EPC career that has seen her negotiate suppliers of choice agreements and contracts valued at more than $100 million. But she also has a softer, more giving side, which is successfully passing on to her 3 kids, and a genuine willingness to help people. In the winter, she's a volunteer instructor for the Canadian Association of Disabled Skiing. The rest of the year, she's actively involved with the United Way and is currently a member of the steering committee for We Care, Worsley Parsons' own community outreach program. Congratulations, Tatiana. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Rising Stars, the Oil Week's Rising Stars class of 29. Please join me once again in giving them all a great round of applause. Congratulations. Now, before she's whisked off to her next gala, I would like to bring back Debra Ross. She is this year's graduating class valedictorian, and she will share a few words on behalf of herself and her fellow Rising Stars. So, Debra, please.
Wow, that was great, Todd. Thanks for the introduction. I never would have dreamed, homeless at 14, that I'd be standing here today accepting any kind of award for these kind of accomplishments in my life. Even when I started my company 10 years ago, my expectations were more along the lines of survival, you know, that kind of thing, not being a successful business owner. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be standing here with the other recipients tonight and, you know, being given this award and the honor with the other men and women here. As some of you know, I started my company in a very male-dominated industry, the oil field sector. So when I first started, there was many people out there that were saying I'm not going to be able to make it, and I was crazy for even trying. Well, here I am today, standing here. Apparently, I've accomplished the unaccomplishable. So, thank you. Thank you. So, and I'm not saying that to brag, I just basically want to get the message out that if you really want something, you just can get out there and do it, and it can happen for you. I know many of you in this room are business owners and other entrepreneurs, and for those of you that want to start a business, or you're thinking of going down that road, I definitely encourage you to move that dream forward. It's just a matter of taking the action to get there. And once you do, there's so many people out there that will help you along the way. And you just have to ask. If you ask the right people, you're going to get the help. And if they say no, what's the worst that can happen? You move on to the next person, or maybe they'll just say no and you're crazy for trying. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But there's nothing wrong with wanting the financial freedom and the joyous significance that comes with that. So what I want to say is no one is better or smarter than anybody in this room. What I've discovered is you need to enjoy today while securing tomorrow by thinking about money in the right way and achieving sustainable financial independence. So once you define wealth and happiness in its most comprehensive definition, it's just a matter of having all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle in life all pulled together intentionally and congruently so that you can be successful in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And one thing I can tell you is you have to follow your passion, and you have to make those decisions all on your own. No one's out there is going to do it for you. And as far as the learning, that's essentially just the process of extracting all the nuggets of knowledge along the way, along the process, and then passing that back to others and hoping that you can help them be successful as well. So I noticed one thing that struck me with all the other recipients here tonight is the strong connection to charities and the willingness to give back and the desire to give back to other people. And I really like that because that's part of my desire today as well, to give back to others. So I'd like to challenge everybody here tonight to think about other ways that you can give back even more than what you're doing today. It could be to your community or to a specific charity of your liking, or even mentoring somebody else that's maybe struggling along and they don't have the nerve to go up and do something on their own to get them to the next level. We're very grateful or we're very lucky to have what we have. And even though we worked hard for it, we need to remember that and be happy for the opportunities that our work and our success have given us. So I guess basically many people work their whole lives saving all their pennies and doing all that so that they can get to the retirement stage. And then there's others that choose to redirect their energies, and they're constantly reinventing themselves and who they are. And the point of saying that is when you do that, life is no longer about making money, but rather about your money is now about making your life for you. Essentially, you can get anything you want so long as you do it in a way that the people surrounding you are more better off than when they were before meeting you. It's basically the key to all, sorry, lost my spot. It's the key basically to all the relationships and successful living and bringing significance into your life. So I wanted to share just a quick story about a friend of mine that he was giving back. And what he did one day is he's the head of a university, and he gathered up all of his colleagues and all of the faculty into this big room. And what he did is he gave everybody this little book, each and every single one of them. And in this book was $100. And these $100 were broken up in $1 bill increments and actually glued separately to all the little pages in the book. So of course everybody's wondering why he's giving this $100 with all these $100 increments in it. And obviously I'm not talking about a Canadian university because it wasn't handing out a book of loonies. Though that would have been interesting. And on the back he actually inscribed the words from William Barclay where it said, "Always give without remembering and always receive without forgetting," sorry. And then he said, I'm going to give you an assignment. What I want you to do is carry this book around for the entire year, and I want you to make sure you give it to people one by one. The rules are you can't spend it on yourself, you can't give the same person more than $1, and it has to help that other person in some way. And he gave examples, for instance, just dropping the dollar on the floor in the mall, and somebody else comes up and you watch their reaction to it. It's just basically to put a smile on their face. So he's doing this in a spiritual way, not as a monetary way. Obviously, the dollar doesn't go far. So that's great. So he did that, and the year goes by, And all the stories come in, and he's collected all these stories. And they were pretty incredible, I guess. But what his staff specifically said to him was that these dollars took them to a whole nother zone. It transcended their dailiness of thought and took them to a spectrum and to a place where they're thinking about other people and what kind of nice things they could do for them. So it made them think of others rather than themselves. So the purpose of that story for me was to show you that basically you can enrich yourself by enriching other people. No one here is an island, and you can't be, really great at anything that you're doing without the help of others. So basically, we need to hold hands with the other people and walk side by side with them, essentially to form circles of togetherness and fellowship, so that you can partner in ways that makes everybody else successful, and everybody's going to be a winner. So I want to close by leaving you with the words of the late Steve Jobs. And what he said is, your time is limited, so don't waste it trying to live other people's lives. And don't get trapped in dogma, which is living with the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner thoughts. Most importantly, have the courage to listen to your heart and your intuition, because somehow they already know what it is that you want to become. Everything else is secondary. Thank you.
Thank you, Debra, for those inspiring words. No wonder you're receiving 2 awards today. It's that kind of leadership. I think you'd all agree with me, given the quality that we see in our class of 2012, the Rising Stars. I think it's safe to say our communities, our energy industry is in very good shape with these leaders of both today and tomorrow. What we're going to do now, Dale, was anyone coming back up to say anything final, or is this the wrap-up? I'm not sure. We are going to ask the Rising Stars, because we know Deborah's got to be off. We're going to assemble you guys next to the pool. We're not going to push you in. You can jump in if you want, but we're going to assemble you next to the pool for some photos, so we can assemble out there poolside. But with that, unless Dale or Mike wanted to say anything else, that concludes the program this evening. We thank you all very much, and once again, thank you to our sponsors, KPMG, and to Oil Week for organizing all of this. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.